This is going to be a walkthrough of the haunted house now that I've taken down the decorations and props to show you the way I built the haunted house and to give you a better understanding of the layout of the haunted house. I used a lot of 2x3s and these 4x8 panels. I had them cut down as needed before I even brought them home. I had Home Depot cut them. I had them cut down into 3 different sizes, either 4x6, 2x6, or 4x7. And the reason why I did that was these rails here. It was like, these are about 6 feet, 8 inches high, but Home Depot, just to make it easier, I just said 6.5 feet, which still works. And I had to cut these angles here to let the garage door curve as it went over it. And it worked out fine, worked out great. And now I have all these panels. While I will be disassembling them, I have the material, so next year I just have to design how I want to do it. I'll probably have to buy a few more panels or build a few more panels and set it up however I want. Now it's kind of modular where I can change it how I want to each year. Each panel cost about $17 to build, 3 2x3s and 1 4x8 panel. The idea was to make this more secure, more stable than last year. Last year what I did was I used metal wire, and I'll show you that later on, metal wire that I just strung up anywhere inside the garage. And the idea was not to make it permanent. Even this is all standalone. And I drilled no screws into any walls or post ceiling, and it all stands on its own, and it all is basically resting on itself. Last year I used wires, and then I had to wait until the garage door opened, and then I could attach wires anywhere, any like those little holes in there, and I'd string them there, which didn't make for a very square hallways. They moved to whatever I could attach. They went in line with whatever I could attach those wires to. And so this year I went with these walls so I could get away from that and make it more straight and more measured out distances between the walkway for the walkway. So this was the beginning. These were the pallets that I tore up. A bunch of this little scrap pieces are going to be burned. I can't store all of it, and then next year won't be that much to get. I'll just get a few 2x1s and cut them up as needed, and then get pallets anywhere. So this would have been the beginning. That's where the little door knocker was. There's a fabric here. You come in. This is where all the pumpkins were laying out, and the Nightmare Before Christmas props were hanging there. Fabric was just draped on that wire. That's the wire that I used last year, and I used it this year. And there's another wire here. I just draped the fabric over it. Nobody was going back there, so it was no problem. They weren't going to touch any of that or fall down on it. And I just laid some fabric out on the ground to cover up the floor. Fabric on the back of this, and then fabric on the wall back here. This is where the pumpkin guy was. This is where the Snoopy was. This is where the witch was hanging down off of this here. And we had a table here and a table in the back. And I used that to put all that stuff up there. And then over here you turn in here, and this was the diorama. So here's the 2x4 that I already had, and I just got a 2x1, screwed it on there, used these wires to secure it, but it's pretty stable already, and it wasn't something that people would be leaning against. So that's why I did it that way. And I had the skeleton over here, the dolls were here, the cat and the cards were here, and the witch was right there. And I had some boxes back here and some plastic draped over all this junk, and then more fabric from those wires here. I stapled fabric up here, and then I hung it over there and draped it over that. Draped it on that wire there. All this down here. These are electric cords that I use to power a lot of the props. And this was the little boundary, lower boundary. I bumped that section out for the Slender Man, and I'll show you why in a minute once I get around to that side. As you can see, you would have came in this way, walked here, walked over here, walked this way, turn left and down the hall, which was the haunted forest with all the fabric vegetation hanging down from the top. And all of this had black landscaping fabric on top, because you would be able to see those white mudding from the drywall at night if I hadn't covered that up. So I wanted to cover that up. I had a black light up on this board here, and all these boards help tie the whole maze together. So, I mean, this was really, really sturdy. So you walk here. If you didn't want to continue on, you went out the door there. If you wanted to continue on, you turn right, and there was where the zombie doctor was hanging. Walked in here, turn right. There was the clown there. This was just fabric to save time and money. I just framed this out, framed it so it all tied together, and then just draped some fabric over it. And that's where that other skeleton was. And then the TV was here, and I just draped fabric all over the place. And this is one way I got around of drilling holes into any of this post, was to build around it and tie it together like that. And this worked pretty well. I mean, if someone wanted to come in here and just tear it apart, they could, but you know, it's a haunted house. No one's going to do that, I hope. This was a fabric hanging off of a wire head up here, and then you turn left, and that was the zombie girl. And then I had more fabric here, and this is where the other zombie was, and the zombie baby, and the head, and the chains were hanging down here. There was a light over here, and then that electrical box on the other video that was sitting down here, I had it hanging up here. And then Slender Man was back here, and the reason why I bumped it out was because you were going to turn left and go in here. And if I had Slender Man up, he may have fit in here with this. It's only about 6 inches. He may have been able to fit there, but I just pushed it back just in case anyone, I didn't know how anybody would react, so I didn't want it right next to them and fall over. It was just PVC pipe. But go in here, this is where the doctor's room was, and you can see the wires hanging up on here. This is how I had ran it all. And on this side, I stapled the fabric on this side and draped it underneath and went over to the wire. And that worked out great. Boxes that I used to kind of support some plastic back there as a backdrop. And then I had another fabric over there. I did that wood piece because there was no way to hook a cable up. And that's what happened last year, was the cable, I was attaching the cable to all these shelves over here, and it'd run back to the garage door. And so it wasn't in line with where I wanted it to be. So that's why I wanted to make these walls. But all this back here was pretty much empty. The fabric, the way the fabric came up, it left a gap in between the two dioramas. And this was all empty. We did have a computer back here to run the sounds and stuff like that. But it's a lot of wasted space that I might look into next year, rearranging the way I do it if I do it next year. And walk through here. This was a zombie room. This is plexiglass, and when it had the film on it, it worked out great, but without the film, it just shined right through. So I'll have to come up with something for that. Then you take a left, so you got the hallway there, and then this hallway, and then you walked in here. This had pictures on the wall that changed as you looked at them, and then you turn to the right and turn to the right again, and walked in here. And as you took a left, there was the mirror that would drop down, and I'll show how that worked in a minute. So this got a lot of people, because there was nothing in here that was scary or jumped out except for this. So as they're going through, they don't expect it, and it got a lot of people, and it worked out great. It was hilarious. Not for them, but for me. And maybe some of them enjoyed it also. But this was the only section that had anybody really pushing against it, and I had a few people fall back on it trying to get away. And when they did, it actually has pushed us out. There's actually got a bow in it. What I should have done was put another 2x3 in here and then put another panel on this side to secure it, but I just didn't expect people would react the way they did to that. But this was really secure, really stout, so no problem with anyone falling and knocking it over. So then you take another, come in, mirror, take another left. Behind this was the zombie girl, and then you take a right, and you come down here, and this is where the scarecrow was sitting, and take a right and go out. I thought about putting another jump scare back here, cutting this out and having somebody back there. I didn't do that, didn't have enough time, didn't have enough people to do that either. These were all just scraps cut off from the other paneling. I just draped fabric over it. It was fine. Draped fabric over all this. It looked really good back here, actually. It looked really good. I really wanted one section that was really dark, just pitch black, but a lot of kids go through, so we decided to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to go back to where the jump scare worked. So now I'm back in the diorama section. You see how I put all these boards up here and to secure it so that they wouldn't fall over. Nothing's drilled into those beams. I even used like little chunks of wood as spacers. Just anything I could use to keep me from securing it permanently. So it's all freestanding. But you'd come back over on this side here, and this light wasn't on. I had the light turned off so it could get effective. But you can see here, it's 4 foot wide and almost, well, yeah, 4 feet deep. So we're getting almost 20 square feet back here because it have even some extra room back here. But with the light off back here, you can't really see in here, but you can see inside as people are walking through. And so what I did was I connected a fence latch, and then I had these rails that I don't know what they were for. I just found them in Lowe's, but they were perfect for fiberglass or plexiglass to slide in on a rail right here. And I just glued them onto this board. It worked okay. They're not square, so it gets caught down at the bottom. But all I would do is just raise this, and it would drop down, and now I can get out there and scare people. It worked out excellent. I think it worked out really great to have the see-through glass, because I could see them all the way through. I could see them, but they couldn't see me. So it was fun watching that. And actually, I'd like to get a camera, but I thought about putting another jump scare over here. But I'll go up on top and kind of show it from the top view what it looks like. That's how that worked. This was in the back. But so up top, that's kind of what it looked like. I had all these boards screwed into the tops to connect it all. It's pretty haphazard up here, but it worked. I just wish I had a bigger garage. But that's how it all kind of worked. Worked really good. So here's another section where I kind of rigged it up to where it would work. All right, hopefully next year is better. And well, that's it. It was fun. A lot of work. Got a lot of work ahead of me, but it was fun. All right, bye.